Will robots take our jobs? Maybe my job, maybe your job. Who knows? Let's talk about it. I'd like to break this down into three separate sections. I want to talk about a little bit about the Industrial Revolution, which is basically the time of heavy equipment and factories. And then next, it would be the era of the computers and the AI. And then we'll talk a little bit about robot things-ish, whatever. And then we'll get into our modern robots and what we're dealing with right now in 2024 and start a discussion on that. So the Industrial Revolution, epic time in human history. Basically, heavy equipment took all the hard labor away from what humans were doing. Instead of having to dig into huge mines by hand, instead of having to burrow through rock by hand, instead of huge holes, instead of trying to build massive buildings, move giant structures, we ended up building machinery through steam power, coal power, fuel power. Now we're getting into electric power and solar and all the clean energy stuff. But that time shifted humans. That was a great time for humanity because the hardest jobs we had, the things were almost impossible and took tons of man hours and broke people's bodies, got replaced by these machines. And the heavy equipment machines don't have brains. They can't think. So for every machine that would replace 100 laborers, you would end up with one or two highly trained or end up with, for every 100 workers replaced that were digging a hole, you would end up with 2 or 3 track hoes, 2 or 3 bulldozers, 2 or 3 dump trucks, and you would end up with more skilled, higher trained operators that had to operate these machines. And the jobs that were lost were the worst jobs you could think of, and the jobs that it created were like really good jobs that took skill and some knowledge, and then the people that became operators would work clear until they were super old, so it was a super good job for them. And with the heavy machines, we also ended up with the factories. And what the factories did is it got a lot of those people that were digging with shovels and picks in the dirt, put them inside of a building that, at first the factories were horrible, people died, but eventually got up to where they're working in these factories that are AC, they have lights, way better condition than working out in the fields or down in the mines doing the trenches. And the heavy equipment era and the Industrial Revolution didn't fully replace the people out there working, but it just made their jobs a lot easier, a lot safer. And then the people that stayed working there became more technical and actually improved their lives and improved what they're doing. And then the fallout of it is people went from the fields, ended up in factories. Yeah, the jobs are easy, but they're mind-numbing. They're not the greatest jobs, but they're easy jobs. So with the Industrial Revolution, we did use machines to get hard work and make that work easier. And then sometime after the Industrial Revolution, we started hitting the computer age. What the computer age did is made it so the paperwork and the office work was a lot easier. It did a lot of other things. We got to communicate better. We ended up with the internet, everything else. There's all those things too, but talking on a worker scale size, yeah, with the start of computers, not only was it doing the paperwork it was supposed to do faster, but it also created a lot more. Think about how many people would actually have insurance or mortgages or savings accounts or a lot of this banking we do or doing stock trades, cryptocurrency, any of the stuff without computers. It not only made a job easier, but it also made millions of jobs for other people to work on these computers in this computer space that weren't there before. So it actually created a lot of jobs that were easy jobs in really safe working conditions. Think all the skyscrapers you see in Chicago and New York and all those areas. Those were jobs created by the computers. So it employed millions of people for jobs that were easy in very good living they weren't the best paying jobs. So we're not talking about money right now, but as far as physically, is it breaking you? No. The people that were working in the offices can work until they retire. Very nice working condition, way better than working out in the fields or working in a factory. And then somewhere after the heavy equipment age and the computer age came in, we ended up with stuff that I'd like to just say is robot-ish. Think like an ATM machine, space probes that we send to the moon. They're robotic. Like they can do some cool stuff, but they're not like the computer power isn't quite, and they do have a lot of computer stuff, but it takes a lot of people to program it, make it work. They make one copy of it, they mass produce it. It's very useful, very helpful, but you wouldn't call them actually robots. When we say the word robot or humanoid or anything like that, they don't resemble any of these things. They're robots, but they're robots that are made to make humans' life easier. They're just stuff that you're doing is now easier to do. And so there's a big era of, or there's still a lot of, and a big era and a growing amount of robot-ish stuff. Technically, you could call them robots, but it's not usually what we mean when we say the word robot. When we say robot, we're usually thinking like humanoid-looking thing that can actually walk around, function on its own. These aren't really those yet. And we have tons of them, we'll keep having tons of them. And those have been super useful and helpful, but that's not quite the robot yet. It's close, and it's technically in the definition. They can do their own thing, but just not at the level that we're going to be talking about in the next part of this video. And now, let's get on to the main part of this video. Got the background out of the way. Let's talk about the robots we're dealing with today, or the ones that we're about to be dealing with. So far, haven't seen a humanoid robot walking out in the wild. All over the internet, all over the news, but so far, haven't seen them in the wild yet. So they exist, but they're not there yet, or they're not here. And those are the ones everyone's been talking about, and I've been seeing a lot of stuff about. And this is where it's like, okay, what exactly are these newer robots going to do? They got AI in them. They can walk around by themselves. They're starting to be able to do actual human tasks. You can see them start folding shirts. You can see them start moving eggs around, cool stuff like that. What is those robots' job going to be? And this is where I could start complaining and start saying like, okay, the robot might just take my job. So because we're so new into this new robot phase, or phase of true robots that can have a task, go out there, go do it, not plugged into anything, not stationary, they're actually out moving around. The first ones we've seen are literally there to take the easiest jobs that existed. They're very weak, they're not very strong, they're not very smart, and all the jobs I've been seeing them do so far, like the little robot dog Spot, stuff like that, is the easy jobs. Where it's like, okay, the Spot robot, they can put on a Tremble total station on it, which is like a laser for measuring things. It can walk through factories and it can take all the measurements and all the readings of everything in the machinery. What's the temperature? Is a bearing going out? Is the air level right? Well, that's an easy job. Like if you asked me growing up, hey, what would you want your job to be? Do you want to do frame houses? Or do you want to be the guy that has like a clipboard and some instruments and maybe an iPad or something and walks around and just measures things and gets paid to do this? I would like to have the job that Spot the robot just took. So far Spot's job, the four-legged robot, that's just really taking the easy job. Like it's replacing jobs that I would want to have, and it physically can't do any of the hard jobs. Like it's not building anything yet. So that was that phase of robots, which is like what we were dealing with for the last year or two. Now we're getting into the actual humanoid robots. And that's where it's like, okay, will this robot replace my job? Well, so far, yes, if they don't improve them. Because so far the ones they've been showing, they're like, oh yeah, well, this is just sitting in a factory and it gets the stuff from here, it puts it in this box, and it puts box over there. And oh, these are just really boring jobs that are repetitive and people don't like to do them. Well, that's also an easy job. Like so far it's like, no. If that job pays enough, I want that job. Like there's two types of people when it comes to work. There's the people that, hey, I have a home life, I have friends, I have other stuff I want to do. My job is for money. And I just want to just turn my brain off, do my job for 8-10 hours a day, get my paycheck, then my whole life lives outside of my work. So there's those people. Then there is the people that are like, okay, when I go to work, I want to learn things, be motivated, discover things, all these. That's two separate types of people. For the guys that are like, say, home life, whatever, they just want a job to pay bills and not really think about it and have enough money to live. The robot's replacing that job. That's an easy job. And the job that's not the easy job, a lot of times is like, okay, well, they're building houses in Phoenix, Arizona. It's 110 and we need roofs built. We need roofers out there. Well, the robot in the factory ain't getting on a roof yet and roofing a house yet. It needs to go do that job. Like, focus on that job and then let me deal with the factory job with the AC climate controlled. But the robots aren't good enough yet. So far with these robots, like think like the Tesla bot. Yeah, I know it's the brand new version. They're figuring it out. It's doing very easy things. I don't really see a market for that because those kind of jobs, people will take a huge pay cut to do a very easy job in a good work environment. Even if it's repetitive, even if it's stupid, you're not learning anything, people will do that job. So if the robot comes in, you might see prices drop because, hey, we got to go buy this like $100,000 robot and it needs to do the amount of work of like, say, 2 people to make up for the wages it's doing. A lot of times people will take a wage cut because it's an easy job. So I don't really see them using this Tesla bot and these other ones that are coming out right now that are still a little bit too slow, a little bit too sensitive, because they're trying to do a job that's too easy and there's too many people that'll do that job. So I wouldn't worry about the robots taking anyone's jobs yet until they start doing something that is hard. Until they start doing jobs that nobody wants to do, like I gave the example, roofing in Phoenix in the summer. When a robot decides to go, like they get it good enough to do that, oh yeah, let it take that job. Like that'll be like the machine, the Industrial Revolution. Oh, if the robot's good enough to take the hardest jobs that are in the worst situation, then let the robot do it. The robots just aren't there yet. They're a little too slow. They're a little too sensitive. They cost a little bit too much. So I kind of think we're going to be in a phase for the next 2 years where, okay, we see these robots, they can do cool things, but I don't really think people are going to be buying them because it's not going to work financially to buy an expensive robot to do something that's really easy. That like even, like just a really easy job. They're not going to pay for this robot to do it when they can just get any people to do it. When they get those robots good enough that they can actually go do a hard job. Okay, go roof a house, go frame a house. How about go do some concrete work? When those robots can start finishing concrete, oh yeah, I see, like, yeah, companies will be like, okay, well, we'll buy a robot, it'll go do the hardest part, and then the humans will do the supporting jobs around this, bring the supplies to the roofing robot, get a forklift, put the shingles up on top of the roof, let the robot do the roofing. You'll still have people out there, but you need to be able to get the people into the easy jobs before I really think the robots are going to take off. Because right now, it's like I said, the stuff I've been seeing, it's like even the spot robot I was talking about. Oh, it can go and do all these readings and check all these temperature sensors. I was like, yeah, but also like a college intern would do that. Hey, what's your job? It doesn't pay that much. Oh yeah, but this is super easy. I do it for eight hours a day, and then I have a second job after, or I have a bunch of energy and go do something else after. I don't see those robots getting away with taking the easy jobs, because those easy jobs are the jobs that a lot of people want. Maybe not full-time, maybe part-time, something like that. And the robots are just a little too expensive and a little too sensitive, and you have to babysit them a little bit too much for them to really take off in that sector. But as soon as they're able to do hard stuff, which I'm guessing the rate they've been going, I think 2 years. I think in 2 years we'll actually have some pretty good robots that can actually do some pretty good stuff, haul extra weight, move a little bit faster, be able to actually put them outside, put them into a sandstorm, put them into a desert, maybe put them up in the Arctic. Once they can do that, and they're trying to take a job that's a really hard job, which, don't get me wrong, it'll be a high-paying job, that's where I think you'll actually start seeing a lot of robots in the workforce. But for now, I just don't think they're fast enough and they're cheap enough to be doing any of these easy jobs or the factory jobs and the stuff that they've been showing videos of. just because people will do those. They're easy jobs, will do it. Anyways, that's my opinion. Feel free to leave some comments. Let me know if I'm wrong or if you have another opinion on it. And I don't know, next time I'll keep my eyes open. If I see some stuff change or see something come out, I'll make another video about it.